A little more than a month ago, NVIDIA made official their Pascal GPU architecture to the world of gaming via this card, their top-of-the-line GeForce GTX 1080. This is their powerhouse, and if you read our benchmarks on Hardware Zone, it's an extremely overclockable card and very power efficient. Shortly thereafter, they released the GTX 1070, which sadly we don't have here. But as powerful as these two cards were, there was one sticking point with them, and that was the price. Depending on the reseller or distributor you visit here in Malaysia, a card like this, the GTX 1080, could easily fetch well above the 2,800 ringgit price tag. But NVIDIA's innovation momentum didn't just halt there. You see, while the GTX 1080 and 1070 was selling like hotcakes, the company was already on the verge of releasing a new card that was appealing to the mid-range market segment. To that end, the card they released shortly thereafter was this. This here, ladies and gentlemen, is the GeForce GTX 1060. It's a card that's designed for the gamer who isn't looking to break his piggy bank, and possibly the card that is going to save the world of gaming. Probably, maybe, you're going to have to wait until after the intro to see if I've ever sold that. If the 1080 is the current card of kings, then the 1060 can simply be described as the card of the people. Much like its more powerful brethren, the 1060 is built upon the 16nm FinFET plus Pascal architecture, and that means that the card comes with pretty much the same benefits as well. We're talking, of course, about the same features that NVIDIA had actually promised to the masses prior to this, such as simultaneous multi-projection, or SMP, for short if you're too lazy to say the whole thing properly. As this is the Founders Edition variant of the 1060, it should come as no surprise that the cooler shroud of our 1060 sports the same polygonal theme as the other Founders Edition coolers, albeit with a slightly different design. For output, you get one HDMI port, 3 display ports, and a single dual-link DVI port for those of you who still insist on living in the dark ages. First thing that you'll notice upon removing the card from the box is that its cooler shroud is actually longer than the sum of its parts. Much like Team Red's own mid-range wonder, the PCB of the 1060 is actually shorter than it looks. There is another physical feature on this card, or lack thereof, and that is the absence of an SLI connector on the card, which is a crying shame as you'll see from the card's performance. The launch of the 1060 also sees the launch of NVIDIA's high-res in-game photography tool, Ansel. So if you're really into capturing some high-res artsy shots in-game, you may go ahead and capture it at will. So with the introductions and niceties out of the way for the 1060, let's get right into what really matters with this video, the benchmarks and review. To that end, we'll be benchmarking this card against several other cards in its range, on top of which we'll also be benchmarking it against this, AMD's own mid-range wonder, the Radeon RX 480. It's important to note that the 1060 actually came out just after the Radeon RX 480 did, so it'd be quite interesting to see how well these two cards go head-to-head with each other. Well, I mean, enough being said, let's jump right into the review then. Well folks, there you have it. Those were the benchmarks that we ran for the GTX 1060. As in conclusion to this video, our thoughts are very simply that we think this card really is one of the mid-range cards that's bound to sell like hotcakes, as much as we said about the Radeon RX 480. But again, that being said, we still think it's a major oversight on NVIDIA's part to not include an SLI connector for this card, because for all its power and all that prowess and capabilities that it has, it's a bit sad that we can't even consider setting this card up in a two-way SLI mode. We should mention, if we didn't mention before, that the resolutions we ran this card at was 2560 by 1440p, which is WQHD resolutions. On average, we're getting about 45 FPS per title, with the exception of Dragon Age Inquisition, which is one of the more demanding titles. With that sort of resolution and at those frame rates, we can easily tell you right now that this card will have no problems playing any of these other titles, these titles and other titles at full HD. And that's it. Well, if you liked the video, hit the like button. If you didn't like it, there's the dislike button down there, as you can see right there. Hit it too if you didn't like it. No hard feelings at all, really, none.